be free to chance, to dance. You're found just like a clinging fire.
This is for me a very special opportunity to see this dress on. It doesn't go on very often. It's the most exquisite silks, organdy. It's got wonderful lace and netting, and I'll just undress you a tad. And what you see here is a very stylish woman who would have been considered a flapper wearing this, because one of the telltale signs of the sort of the flapper preference for hemlines is this sort of wonderful kind of handkerchief hemline you have here. And here we have more of a day look for the 1920s. And again, with all this wonderful adventure and travel that you were starting to see with tourism and the advent of coaches and steamer ships and ships, people started to explore areas. And things like when King Tutankhamun's tomb was found, the news, because of the radio, people all over the world suddenly heard the news. So again, you know, bringing a really fresh approach. The 30s was all about escapism because, of course, it was the Depression. You still had very wealthy people in the Depression who wanted to dress up and look elegant. So we have lovely evening clothes, and Hollywood was an inspiration, the movie stars. So again, it's all about being a beautiful woman wearing beautiful clothing and just almost as if you're escaping from the troubles in the world. Thank you, Emma. And this dress it's really quite extraordinary when you look at it close, because the sleeves are made of these beautiful lace panels, and they're wonderful glass beads that are stitched onto the lace panels. And then again, what's really rare for dresses of this age is that all the original dress clips are still on the dress. The other thing about the 30s too is that it was all about the back. It wasn't about plunging necklines, you know, sorry Lindsay Lohans and, you know, the Rhiannons of the world. We're looking at this beautiful, elegant back. So again, very elegant.
Burning lips, burning toast and prunes, how lovely it was.
Thank you. So we're still with the 30s, and as you can see, instead of it being a plunging backline, when Esther turns around, you see this beautiful back. And again, I mean, you can't get much more elegant than that. But the early 30s, you suddenly saw these little sort of capped sleeves, that they weren't there to shape the shoulder that you get in the late 40s, and we'll see one of those suits coming up. We've now moved on to the 1940s. And this would be early 40s. And again, still very elegant, a very wealthy woman owned this dress. It's incredible when you look at the work behind it, but it's a wool knitted sort of mesh sheath onto which has been machine stitched, but all hand maneuvered silk ribbon. This woman probably lived on Fifth Avenue and was maybe meeting her friends at Harry's bar, and then maybe going on and shopping somewhere at maybe Neiman and Marcus. A very beautiful presentation for a very wealthy woman going for lunch and then a little shopping.
Tell me where my love can be. Is there a meadow in the mist where someone's waiting to
So here we are again in the 1940s, although this dress definitely has 20s influence, as you can see by the straightness. They're sort of almost like lead crystal. They're a certain type of glass diamante that was used specifically in the 40s. And I actually wore this dress to the opening of the Vivienne Westwood exhibition at Canberra. This is a dance dress. As Matilda turns around, you see this wonderful shimmering, and that also tells you the quality of the diamante that are in there. This has got to be one of the most stunning dresses, again, from the 30s. And the whole idea is that it was all about the back. And the reason this came about was that in Hollywood, with these beautiful movie stars, Hollywood stipulated that they didn't want anything too risque visible to the viewer. So they said that no plunging fronts, and they wanted sensible necklines and things. Well, of course, Hollywood always being one step ahead if you're a woman starlet wanting to look your best. They thought, well, they didn't say anything about the back. And so that's, of course, why the back has become the center of attention. So here we are, probably late 30s, early 40s. A lady wearing this would probably be, she wouldn't be, you know, a young woman going off to her first dance. She'd be a very elegant woman who could accessorize with the jewelry. This necklace and earrings is by an American designer called Miriam Haskell. And very important, did a lot of jewelry for Hollywood. And again, you know, I love this idea of women in the evening wearing hats, and you don't have to be a bride to wear net or tulle. And I mean, it's just absolutely elegant how it frames the face.
Ski trails on a mountainside.
So now we're looking obviously at the 40s. And what's lovely about this is that it's made of wool. I'm always collecting wool garments. And this actually was wool that was Australian merino wool that was sent to Paris and made up by a company over there and then came back here. And what's interesting too is that you have the three-piece suit, and you've got the skirt, obviously this sweet little top, and then the jacket with that clever lining. And again, this is just a little bit of a leftover of the war years when, of course, everything was rationed and you used what you could. So here we have the ultimately accessorized wealthy woman. And what's interesting about a dress like this is that it's quite simple. When you see it hanging on a hanger, you kind of just whiz past it thinking, oh, I'll go back onto the sequin ones or the more embellished ones. But it's absolutely beautifully cut. And you have this wonderful panel in the front, and then you have another one at the back. So of course, when she walks, as you saw when she came down, it floats. And I mean, again, this is all reminiscent of what was the inspiration from the war, where that might have been two pieces that wasn't long enough to actually make into a dress or do anything larger with. And here we are with your classic 1940s suit worn during the war, where every scrap of fabric, like I mentioned before, was being economized and used in a very clever way. And for me, this is one of the most beautifully tailored and elegant suits I think I have in the collection. And what's really clever about it is that when you see it up close, it's all the little details like the collar. But when you look at the collar and you imagine a rather extravagant use of 3 layers of collars on top of one another, it's actually one collar with these 2 little tiny flaps that come down on the side, which create the look of extravagance. And what's really special here is the hat that is being worn at the moment is by Christian Dior, and it's a camellia, and it's from the 40s. Again, a wonderful way for a woman who was very conscious of the war effort. She could put on a really extravagant hat like that, and her whole outfit just turns into something that's quite beautiful to something that's quite extraordinary.